Can I just say that I am so sick of this lady, like genuinely ill? Because she said that it took her a year to save up for a $20 toy. This woman over here saying that it took her a year to save up this toy. Well, honey, it didn't take you a year to get a car. It didn't take you a year to move out. It didn't take you a year to throw cats out the house. It didn't take you a year to get bunk beds for your kids. Oh, wait a minute. It took you longer than that. So, not to mention a lot of your followers ended up buying this stuff for you, like you just were grifting. I don't know how, but this woman just infuriates me. I think the part that infuriates me is the fact that she is a mom and she's not being a mom first. Like, she doesn't care. Yes, we see her doing mom things or whatever, but it's like she doesn't find joy in it. She's not putting her kids first in anything. Like, she's always just out for herself and for Drew and not for her children. And that is what irks me.
The resilient Jenkins want to take their kids to Disneyland before getting their kids a home. Mind you, she just told us that they have been using rags to wipe and clean themselves since they cannot afford toilet paper. She has also been putting everyone's toothbrushes in empty Gatorade bottles. But her man just bought a $100 game.
I can't really wrap my brain around what people's genuine issue with me is when it comes down to it. And we ain't gonna call me Stephanie Thompson, because just because I'm married to that fool doesn't mean that's how I identify myself. So in this scenario, we're just gonna refer to me as Stephanie Freelit because that's my born given name, okay? What do you actually have an issue with Stephanie Freelit for? Think about it for a minute. It's assumptions. You assume I use heavy substances, which there's really even no evidence of that other than your assumptions, and I don't. I've already said I don't. You hate on me for somebody that I married, which if you knew anything about how I was grown up, you might understand why the fuck I didn't even know how to read that about that kind of person. But that's not my thing to carry around. He made those terrible decisions. That's him. That doesn't make me who I am. And then you hate on me for Drew and his baby mama drama, which also again has not shit to do with me. That was his past, not mine. You can hate on me for abandoning cats, because I'm gonna freaking hate on myself for that for the rest of my life. I wish that I could have done something different. I wish to God that I would have had another avenue to take in that situation. I'm forever gonna miss those fucking cats. Like, when I break it down, I think most of y'all just hate on me for your own convenience. Because, you know, like, you can use, oh, resilient Jenkins, this, that, and the third, and you're gonna get the attention that you're so seeking.
Here we are. The resilient Jenkins was hailed as loving, struggling, but determined family, now remembered for their embarrassing downfall. But not because of what they've been through. No. Because of the choices they made when the world gave them a chance. A chance they not only fumbled but trampled on while playing PS5. Let's take it back to where it all started. Back in October, Stephanie Jenkins, TikTok's so-called resilient mom, posted a video showing her children preparing for bedtime in the kitchen. Not a temporary situation, not a quacky family moment. This was real life. Foam pads and air mattresses were laid out across the dining area, right next to the kitchen counters. You could see pots in the sink and cereal boxes stacked nearby. Yet here, the kids were tucking themselves into bed on the hard floor like it was a normal bedtime routine. No doors, no privacy, just cabinets and crumbs. It was the kind of video that at first glance made you want to root for her. A mother doing the best she can with what she has. That is how Stephanie framed it. Her voiceover even emphasized how grateful she was to have a roof over their heads. She spoke softly, with emotion, talking about love, survival, and togetherness. It all felt humble. It felt raw. For some, that was enough to hit the follow button and leave a comment cheering her on.
As you can read in the caption above, we're a family of 6 going on 7 living in a 1-bedroom apartment. As the kids grow older, that means we constantly have to adapt our environment to give them more means for privacy and extra space. When outside our environment appears cluttered, disorganized, what have you. But quite frankly, after making do for nearly 3 years now, I have nothing but a grateful spirit for the roof over our head. Generally, the instant judgment me and my husband receive, why have so many kids if you don't have enough space for them? See, my perception is judgment comes from a place of not having the experience. When you've experienced enough, you generally don't judge people. I can tell you after everything I've been through in the past 3 years, there's very little I have to judge people on. I would be lying if I said there wasn't a point in my life that I was so naive that I might have judged a poor person based off their appearance. And like I said, I have learned a lot. I generally look like I'm roughing it, but that's because our kids come first. I do everything I can to keep our environment clean and tidy. When it comes down to it, I could shove everything my kids have in 1 bedroom of some of these houses I see, and it would really look like nothing. We try to teach our kids to take care of what they have, be grateful for what we have, we keep praying and pushing for the growth that we want. Appreciate y'all watching. See you in the next video.
But for others, something did not sit right. And the longer you watched, the more it began to feel uncomfortable. Not because the family was poor or struggling. No. Many families go through hard times, but because of the choices. This wasn't a family who had just fallen on hard luck. This was a family who had settled into dysfunction and then put a camera in front of it for a TikTok clout. Stephanie had been living like this for 3 years. 3 long years of her 4 children sleeping in the kitchen and dining area like it was a designated bedroom, while she and her partner Drew had a private room all to themselves. That wasn't survival, that was prioritization, one that put comfort for their adults ahead of the basic needs for the kids.
Finest. I'm not one to judge a mom, but this is crazy. You have to move your kitchen table out of the kitchen so your kids can sleep on the floor. And then you're having more kids. You're not financially stable with the ones that you have, but you want to grow your family. It doesn't make sense to me. And you speak about judgment in your post. You put this on the internet for everybody to see. Of course, we are going to judge you because we know that it's not right. Stop having kids and learn how to become financially stable for the ones that you do have. This is actually very sad because this continues to happen time and time again. It's very selfish. It's very selfish when you can't even give your children, the ones that you already have in this world, the proper home, the proper lifestyle, but then you want to continue to have kids. I don't understand. Y'all make me sick. I get so mad over people I don't know. But I want it to change. I want to see people doing better. Not bringing children into poverty. That's selfishness at its finest.
Now let's talk about that room. It wasn't just a mattress on the floor and a lamp. No, their room looked like a TikTok-ready setup. LED lights glowing blue and purple, a plush bed with pillows stacked high like a luxury hotel, and right there in the center of it all, a PlayStation 5. The kind of setup that screams vibes but whispers distraction. And yes, the PS5 stung. Because while bunk beds can be found online for just $100, sometimes even less if you're resourceful, the PS5 goes for around $500 or more. And yet, Drew had one sitting pretty in the comfort of their bedroom while the kids were squeezed into foam toppers by the fridge. Let that sink in. Their children were laying down to sleep inches away from where a raw meat was defrosting, next to cabinets filled with bleach and bug spray, exposed to the noise and lights of the kitchen at all hours, while Drew lounged on a gaming chair in a tricked out bedroom like he was on Twitch. This wasn't just poor, it was dangerous. Now let's do the math. Foam pads for kids, no privacy, sleeping in what's supposed to be the food prep area versus a luxury gaming setup and LED lights in the parents' bedroom. There are no safety rails, no child-sized comforts, no dignity in the sleeping arrangement, just flattened foam and sleeping bags on tile. And the worst part, Stephanie knew it. She knew it wasn't enough, but instead of making a plan to do better, she filmed it, she romanticized it, she packaged it as a touching family moment for views and engagement.
Let me be real with you, I barely made it through this Sunday reset. I am so freaking sore at this point in the pregnancy. But during this Sunday reset, I had this thing heavy on my mind. I kept thinking about how sometimes I put forth videos where I just don't feel like my authentic self is coming through completely. There's sides of me that I just feel are a bit vulnerable and I don't like to share it. But that's going to come with a traumatic past and PTSD, so I gotta be real. And then as much as I really try to not let any of these hateful comments get to me, sometimes they really do. It's mainly the comments that are like pointed towards my kids, and then definitely these comments about my ex, those are just super triggering to me. But I also thought about that a lot today too. And when it comes down to it, I really could give a frick about anyone's opinion. It's mainly more like a mama bear reaction when it comes to comments about my kids. Like, I don't know what y'all are thinking. Especially all them sending people to our house comments. Like, who in their right freaking mind honestly thinks that kids who are happy and loved in their home aren't terrified by the thought of someone coming and taking them from that home? You gotta be some kind of fucking messed up. I mean, excuse my language, but I'm sorry. You're just some kind of idiot if you honestly think that my kids would be happier somewhere besides with me and Drew. And when it comes down to it, the real issue people have with us is that we lack the space. But the space that we have, we keep clean. And most importantly, we create a lot of family memories in this house. Or dare I say house, I mean apartment. You want to know what I find the most funny about all these haters in the comments is they almost always have their entire profile private. Like, they really just want to say whatever the hell they want in these comments and then have all their shit hidden. Well, guess what? I'm hiding nothing. Everything I have is out in the open. Y'all know everything about me by now. You really keep trying to make me feel bad for my past. Well, it's my past. I've grown from it. I know who I am today and I know who I put forward. Most importantly, I know the mother I am. And I love these kids more than anything in the world. Everybody in the home is excited about the baby. We cannot wait to bring her home. And honestly, not that it's anybody's business. She actually does have a best in it, so.
And worst of all, it worked. It got clicked, it got comments, it got money. Make it make sense. She had 2 daughters from a previous marriage. Drew had a son from his, and together they had 1 son and were expecting another. That is a full house. 6 people crammed into a 1-bedroom apartment. 7 if you count the new baby on the way. That's not just tight living. That is barely living. And yet, despite how clearly overcrowded and chaotic their situation was, Stephanie and Drew did not seem too concerned with change. The internet, however, was. Comment after comment rolled in from viewers offering advice, pleading with them to at least consider bunk beds for the children, an affordable and simple solution that could make sleeping arrangements safer, cleaner, and a little more dignified.
Can someone please call CPS on the Jenkins family? Because it is not okay for their children to be sleeping in the lounge room right next to the front door, even with the door lock, on fucking foam mattresses. They're begging on TikTok for people to buy things off their Amazon wish list because the husband won't go out and get a job because he doesn't want to have to pay child support for the child he has to another woman because it will be deducted out of his paycheck. So instead, they're going to beg on TikTok, get TikTok to feel sorry for the kids and what to give for these kids to have a better life. Honestly, it baffles me. Like, I never intended on having children. My partner has 3 kids though, you guys know that. And we live in a 2-bedroom townhouse. And we have adapted the place to be able to have a set of bunk beds, 1 bedroom for his eldest son and a bedroom for us. However, if it was not okay or not safe to have them in the bunk beds, we would be sleeping in the area where the fucking bunk beds are. We wouldn't be sleeping in the main bedroom. The kids would be. Like, simple as that. It's dangerous, and you guys need to stop giving these people your money. We need to call CPS. Unfortunately, I'm Australian. I literally can't do anything about it because I have no idea how America works. But I can't believe that they're bringing another child into this situation as well. It is a 1-bedroom apartment, guys. That is not okay. Your kids should be sleeping in that room, and you guys should be sleeping out in the lounge, living, dining, kitchen, wherever the fuck they're sleeping. And you guys should be on the foam mattress because even as someone who is a bonus mum, I guess you could say, I mean, I have bonus children. I don't classify myself as a mum at all, but I would rather sleep on the floor than have the kids sleep on the floor. And that's coming from someone who isn't actually their mother. I'm just another adult in their lives. So yeah, that's just my hot take on it. Stop giving these people money, and CPS, you really need to step in and take these kids away from that situation because yeah, it's disgusting.
But Stephanie's response, they break them anyway. She did not elaborate on how or why, just a quick dismissal that left many baffled. Because even if that were true, wouldn't trying again be worth it? Wouldn't doing something, anything, to get your kids off at a tile kitchen floor be better than letting them sleep beside the cat litter box? So the kids stayed on the floor, in the kitchen, with the cats. 4 of them. Not even trained service animals or well-kept pets, just 4 cats roaming in the same space where children lay their heads at night, breathing in dander and who knows what else. This was when the sympathy started thinning out fast. First, people had opened their hearts. They saw a struggling mom, a blended family trying to make ends meet. But then came the monetized videos, the raw and honest content, the Amazon wishlist. Suddenly, the line between struggle and strategy began to blur. Stephanie and Drew started asking for help publicly, repeatedly, and people being people stepped up. Donations rolled in, that Amazon wishlist fully checked. Viewers bought bunk beds, toys, kids' clothes, kitchen tools, curtains, even cleaning supplies. Everything they asked for, they got. And for a moment, there was hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was when they would turn things around. Maybe the kids would finally have beds, a little privacy, a little peace.
Every day trying to make money and bring ourselves up out of this pit. So let's see.
What you're seeing here is the resilient Jenkins talking about how many things that they got on their Amazon and all of these different shopping trips. There's one about going to Burlington and another one where her husband bought her stuff. And look, I'm not saying that people aren't allowed to purchase things, but when your children don't even have beds, they don't have mattresses, they don't have these things, how are you going to go spend money like that? Priorities.
First things first. I heard from a food processor. I don't know when I'm I've been wanting a food processor for a fat minute. This is gonna change. Oh my god! Girl. She's so pretty. Oh my god. I totally forgot to include my little baggie that I got myself in my little stop yelling, Sheldon.
Not a single thing for the children.
It is Mama's turn to get some stuff, and I decided I'm gonna go to Burlington because if you know, you can get some good stuff at Burlington.
Or, I don't know, go to Big Lots and get your children beds or mattresses or something. I don't know.
Show you the most recent thing my hubby got me. I just find it freaking adorable. Look at this container set. It's giving Carol from Walking Dead when she makes all that food for everybody in the town. Like, come on. These are freaking adorable.
I told y'all I would dive in. Hit that follow button because I've got a lot more to share. And make sure you check out the video prior to this in my playlist, because there's an entire thing about them saying why their children did not have beds, because they were destructive. So basically, these children had been punished for over 2 years without beds, without mattresses, without anything, while they're buying all this random stuff. I'm sorry, but the priorities are just not there.
The internet had given them a lifeline. The question now was, would they use it wisely? You'd think that would have been the turning point, and all eyes were on them. The public had stepped in, delivered everything on their wish list, and practically handed them a second chance on a silver platter. It was a golden opportunity to rebuild, to show gratitude, not just in words, but in action, to prove they were truly trying. Nope. Instead of turning a corner, Stephanie started showing off. There was a strange energy to her posts, almost smug, as if the backlash had fueled her rather than humbled her, and nothing embodied that more than the gaming chair. Yes, a gaming chair. Not groceries, not baby supplies, not a security deposit for a better apartment, but a gaming chair. A flashy, ergonomic, high-back throne of comfort for a grown man who did not even have a job. Stephanie proudly explained that she bought it for Drew because she did not want him to strain his back while gaming. And let's just pause right there. This man, who was doing absolutely nothing to financially support a family of 7, was now being pampered with luxury gear to sit and play video games all day. And here comes the real kicker. Drew was jobless on purpose. This wasn't a man down on his luck. This was someone actively ducking responsibility. He had no W-2 job because he was avoiding wage garnishments tied to unpaid child support. His ex, the mother of a son he rarely even acknowledged, came forward publicly with receipts, court documents, proof Drew hadn't paid a cent in support, and the state had to step in to try to get something through garnishment. And his excuse, he quit his retail job because he wasn't being paid enough. Claimed it just wasn't worth the stress.
Not Andrew Alexander Jenkins of the Resilient Jenkins family. The husband has an older child that is 12. That is the reason why he won't work, because he owes child support for that child. Oh, okay. I don't want a W-2 if it's not paying me $32 an hour. Yeah, because you got to pay all that back child support for your 12-year-old that you haven't seen since she was 5. Stephanie, I'm going to need you to, like I said, step your cookies up for these children. Y'all have a breeding kink. I'm going to call it. You have a breeding kink. Andrew found him somebody that's willing to pop out as many babies as possible. Okay? I don't know how he ended up with custody of his second child, but Andrew don't want to work because Andrew don't want to pay child support. Andrew has a 12-year-old he ain't seen since he was 5. Okay, that's why he won't work. That is embarrassing for Stephanie to sit there. Oh well, God is gonna do this and God is gonna provide. God is gonna always provide, absolutely. But when you're doing wrong by children, they ask nothing of you but to be loved by you, and you discard them because you have to be financially responsible for them. No, you're not gonna get blessed for that, shawty. And the fact that, oh well, he works all these hours under the table. That's what he does. Oh, if they're not paying me $32 an hour. How can you as a woman stand by him? What lies have he fed you, Stephanie? What is going on here? What did he tell you? How many more other children does he have that he didn't tell you about? Miss out here, oh, he only had the one. He had the two. And it's very telling that the only child in the house that does have a sort of a bed before the Amazon wish list, before everything else, was the child y'all two had together. All of the other children from previous relationships slept on the floor. But y'all child together slept in the bed.
But let's be honest, it wasn't about burnout. It wasn't about unfair wages. It was about avoiding accountability. Garnishment only applies to regular, trackable paychecks. So, by working side gigs and under-the-table jobs or not working at all, Drew could slide past the system. And meanwhile, Stephanie defended him like it was noble, like quitting a job while having 6 kids and a pregnant partner was some sort of a protest. It wasn't. It was neglect, and it was strategic. So, we've got a jobless man, a pregnant mom posting about their struggles online, 4 cats and 5 kids, soon to be 6, and now an eviction. They were evicted from their government-assisted apartment, one Drew had qualified for under the premise that he was a single dad. That means rent was likely subsidized with strict occupancy limits in place. But the Jenkins weren't just pushing the line, they blew right past it. Stephanie was posting videos that clearly showed a packed apartment, 7 people crammed into one bedroom. They documented every inch of that space, proudly showing off their routines, not realizing that they were also showing the world and their landlord that they were violating lease terms. So, the eviction notice wasn't a surprise to anyone except them. They had drawn them up to their own downfall.
So let me get something straight. Stephanie from the Resilient Jenkins is confused as to why people don't like her and Drew. But since she's wondering, let's clock it real quick. Oh, and before I get into this, let me just address something. Stephanie, before you start coming at people and what content they're making, maybe you should think about what content you're making. You can complain all you want about people talking about you, but you made your content about y'all living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 7 people in it. Now let's clock it. Now, before the internet bought your children beds that you then put in the kitchen, before that, they were sleeping on foam mats. Am I wrong? So after people bought your children beds, you then put them in the kitchen. While you and Drew sat up in your nice-ass bedroom with your flat-screen TV, your big, comfortable bed, and your space and your privacy, so that y'all can make more babies, right? She also had every excuse in the book as to why she and Drew never took the kitchen, or the living room at least. And if you would never sleep in a kitchen, why the fuck would you put your children in a kitchen? And then I think 2 of the other kids were sleeping next to the front door. Oh, and you abuse and neglect your children, so that's why we don't like you. They are also being evicted in 9 days. And she literally just kicked their cats out to the curb.
In the middle of this chaos, Stephanie went into labor. But even that did not happen under safe or stable conditions. She gave birth in a car on the way to the hospital, and instead of staying there for proper recovery, she left just 8 hours later. No postpartum rest, no time to breathe. And when she walked back into their overstaffed apartment with a brand new baby in her arms, Drew was already locked back into his PS5, controller in hand, LED lights on, like nothing had happened. No diapers, no bottles, no fatherly presence, just more gaming.
Our beautiful baby girl is here, and she made her memorable entrance in the car, just minutes away from the hospital. I knew going into labor I wanted to do things as natural as possible. I wanted to stay home for as much of the labor as I could, and that's exactly what ended up happening. We headed to the hospital and didn't quite make it there when she was born in the car. I really didn't want to spend very much time at the hospital. I wanted to get home to my other kiddos, especially my toddler. I haven't spent any time away from him, so being away from him at night would just be weird. But I did spend 8 hours in the hospital and then went back home that same night. I did try to eat something while I was so used to my own cooking. I honestly couldn't wait to get back home and just get back in the kitchen and make something. The kids' reaction to meeting their sister was absolutely priceless. All of their faces lit up, and they all made sure to go run their hands under warm water and kept rubbing their hands together to keep their hands warm to hold her. It was the sweetest thing ever. I mean, look at their faces. Like I knew she would, this girl instantly stole her daddy's heart. I mean, let's be real, she stole everybody's heart in this home instantly. I love that she decided to come on the weekend too, so her siblings got a couple days to stay home from school and get to spend some time with her. We're all just soaking in the baby cuddles, settling into our new routine of a family of 7.
Stephanie, clearly overwhelmed, tried to regain control of the narrative. She posted a video of herself crying while cooking breakfast, captioned in a way that heavily implied she was in a DV relationship. The language was subtle but intentional. It painted Drew as the kind of man who wouldn't eat unless she cooked. And if she did not, the blame would somehow land on her or her kids. It was a quiet cry for help, and for a split second it worked. That sympathy came rushing back in until she pulled the rug out from under everyone. Turns out the video wasn't a cry for help, it was bait. Stephanie admitted it was all staged, just a social experiment, she said. A test to see how people would react to negativity. She called it rage bait. It was manipulative, it was tone deaf, it was, worst of all, it mocked real victims of abuse. People were stunned. This wasn't just poor judgment, it was exploitation of trauma for clout. Stephanie weaponized the internet's compassion just to prove she could, and in doing so, she further distanced herself from the very audience that once rooted for her. From eviction to fake DV allegations, this wasn't resilience, it was recklessness, and it was all spiraling. Stephanie refused help from her own mother, who openly said Stephanie and the kids were welcome, but not Drew. Her mother, Mercy, even made a public video directly telling Stephanie that her doors were open, her heart was open, and her home was available. But there was one condition: Drew wasn't invited. She believed Drew was part of the reason Stephanie had spiraled into such chaos, that he was manipulative, unmotivated, and a drain on the family's future. Mercy did not want that kind of energy around her grandchildren.
And I know she's making mistakes and she's doing things wrong and she's not making good choices and she really ought to stay off the damn internet. But it still hurts. It's a stab directly to my heart when I hear and read some of those comments. And I'm here for her. I just wish she would come home. Not just to me, but I mean her family. We all miss her. We all miss those kids. And
And yet, Stephanie declined. She claimed it was because of unresolved trauma from her childhood, saying her mother had been toxic and triggering. But people saw through it. If Stephanie truly believed her children deserved better, this would have been the moment to break the cycle, to step up, even if it meant uncomfortable reconciliation. But she did not. And the truth was clear. Stephanie wasn't going anywhere. Drew couldn't come. She chose him. Again. Then came the cats. They had 4 cats, all of which had become part of the home, sleeping alongside the kids, curling up in corners of the overcrowded apartment. But when the eviction became real and it was time to leave, Stephanie and Drew did not bother finding shelters or rehoming them. Instead, they opened the door and dumped the cats outside by the dumpsters. Left them there. No food, no carriers, no plan. One of the cats, named Milo was later found by a concerned neighbor, and his condition was heartbreaking. He was sick, starving, his fur patchy and missing across his back. He had a flea infestation, visible skin infections, and signs of extreme neglect. A woman named Shailene stepped in to help. She started a GoFundMe for Milo's treatment, and the internet responded with compassion. Milo got vet care. He was cleaned, treated, and eventually rehomed. He got a 1-year medical plan paid for by strangers who had never met him, but who cared more than the people who dressed him indoors and then dumped him like trash. And the Jenkins, they got served, because abandoning pets in that condition isn't just cruel, it is illegal. The authorities issued 3 citations for animal abandonment, a Class C felony. At first, Stephanie tried to downplay it. She insisted the cats were strays and acted confused about why they were being cited. But everyone knew better. These cats were in their TikToks. They had names, they had football, they were part of the family. And when things got hard, Stephanie and Drew abandoned them, just like they abandoned accountability. This wasn't just a moral failing, it was a legal one too.
Alright guys, let's do a little nightcap Milo. Oh hi baby, it's a little cat treat. Nightcap Milo update. We're still waiting for his bed to get here. He's quarantined. For anyone who doesn't know, he's still quarantined for the next 3 days. 2 days now. He is doing amazing. Oh, I gotta go get you a treat, huh? Little nightcap. Look, he sees his treat up there. Look. Little nightcap for Milo. He's going to get some wet food on top of his dry food. That's what the vet recommended. And I'm also gonna put a little bit of this in it. It's high calorie and electrolytes. The vet recommended this to me. He has a little setup in here. He's still quarantined for, he doesn't like those. He's still quarantined for a couple days, 2 more days. He's got medication and, so yeah, I have a doggy, so just prevent fleas from spreading, and anything else.
They moved into a motel, then another, bouncing from one temporary stay to the next, dragging their kids along for the ride and never really settling, still filming, still uploading, still pretending things are okay, like they were just minimalist nomads instead of a family sleeping deeper into instability. Every frame was curated, every caption wrapped in positivity, but viewers saw past the filters. The truth was written in the kids' cramped sleeping arrangements and the exhaustion on Stephanie's face. Drew, still jobless and planted family in front of the PS5, finally decided to go see a doctor. People had been asking for months, why doesn't he work? Is he okay? Is something wrong? So this doctor visit felt like a chance to get clarity. The diagnosis: pre-diabetes. Not something debilitating, just a warning, like a yellow light before a red one. A health heads up that says, hey, take care of yourself, or this could become something worse. But instead of using that moment as a wake-up call to get healthier, get moving, maybe even find a job, Drew used it as an excuse, a full stop, a justification for staying exactly where he was, unemployed, unbothered, and completely disconnected from the fact that his kids were one eviction away from living in a car. And then, predictably, came another eviction. Neighbors had complained, too much noise, too many people. The space simply wasn't made to hold that many bodies. And the Jenkins made no secret about how overcrowded it was. Every post showed toddlers running across the floor, babies crying, devices buzzing, and cats sleeping over furniture. It was loud, it was messy, it was chaotic.
The resilient Jenkins was kicked out of their hotel because of policy. So they could only stay a certain amount of days in the hotel before they have to move. This was so sad to me. These kids going from hotel to hotel, I could literally cry with their backpacks on. There is no sense of stability whatsoever. Family of 7 sleeping with 2 queen beds. This is not struggle. This is 2 capable adults not wanting to do what they need to do for their children to better their life. They refuse to work a 9 to 5 because he doesn't want to pay child support. So many people defend these people, but look at this. How sad is this? Going from hotel to hotel, not knowing where you're going to sleep the next night. Imagine being a young child and these are the core memories that you remember. Us as adults, it's our responsibility to create core memories for our children, not this. This kind of existence will only lead to trauma. We passed in front of a hotel yesterday and it was completely burned down. The way that they are living, that's what's going to come from this. They're cooking in hotels, taking batteries out the smoke detectors while they hotel hop.
Now they are in a shelter motel, but even that calm feels generous. It is a cramped single room with exposed cords, a hot plate pressed dangerously close to a pile of clothes, and 5 kids, including a fragile newborn, squeezed in alongside a pull-out chair bed. No privacy, no space, no plan. The dream they are clinging to, that is just temporary. That they are manifesting a better future, that TikTok will come through again, but dreams without direction just look like a denial. And denial doesn't pay rent. Stephanie said they're saving for permanent housing. Drew's still not working, and the cherry on top, he recently had a seizure right after a child support court appearance. Deshaun's mom is fighting for full custody after claiming Stephanie gave her son a black eye. And through all of this, Stephanie is still posting, still earning from TikTok, Facebook, and subscriptions. People estimate she might be making around $15,000 a month, and yet no home, no savings, no plan. The Jenkins went viral because they looked like a struggling family doing their best. A modern-day example of resilience in the face of hardship. People felt for them. They empathized, they donated, they offered resources, encouragement, and even emotional support. Stephanie was painted as the underdog mother just trying to keep her family together. Drew was seen as a tired, overworked dad trying to provide, and the children, innocent, sweet, and undeserving of such living conditions, won everyone's heart. Now, the entire image has crumbled. What people see isn't a struggling family. They see 2 adults making deliberately poor choices, making their kids suffering for clicks and choosing clout over care, rage bait over responsibility, financial recklessness over stability. It is not just that they did not improve. It is not just that they did not improve. It is that they did not want to. They had every opportunity, donations, resources, a viral platform, a whole army of strangers who rooted for them, believed in them, vested in their future, and they threw it all away. They turned goodwill into a grift. The sympathy that once overflowed has now dried up. People who once committed, "You're doing amazing, mama," are now demanding accountability. They are unfollowing. They are canceling subscriptions. They are done. Because this isn't resilience. This is exploitation. This is what it looks like when you weaponize struggle for entertainment and use children as props. This is what it looks like when you get the entire internet's hand and bite it in return. And now, they are not trending because people care. They are trending because people are tired. Tired of watching the same chaos recycled, reposted, and repackaged as content while those kids grow up in rooms with exposed wires and air fryers balanced in cardboard boxes. This was never resilience. It was always about the views. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. We're just getting started.